better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
So we're here for Love to Death. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I heard, amongst the media it's pretty good, so I'm excited to watch it. So I got a question. Have you all ever been in an abusive relationship?
Mm.
Wow.
That's an interesting question.
Well, I think that says it all.
Well, I actually have been by way of my mom. My mother was in an abusive relationship, and I was in the house. So I guess I was in it. I wasn't physically being beat, but I was certainly seeing it. And I mean, honestly, it only happened twice, and she wound up kicking his butt, and then he was up out of there. But yeah, I guess in that way, I was a part of an abusive relationship.
Definitely. Even seeing someone being abused, especially someone who is as close to you as your mother, that makes you a victim. You are also being victimized as the child.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely been in an abusive situation emotionally, dang near physically, but luckily it stopped at that, and certainly mentally, So, yeah.
What are signs of, I guess, even not an abusive relationship, but signs where it's a negative toxic relationship where, I need to exit out of this at this point?
I personally always like to trust my gut. I know it sounds cliche, but it really is true and it's real. Like, if you feel like something isn't right, if it feels like that doesn't seem or feel like love, then usually it's not. Sometimes people have, abusers have behaviors that are, what doctors would call crazy making behaviors, right? They'll gaslight you and make you think that you're overreacting, or make you think that something is wrong with you, or you saw something that you didn't see, or so you start questioning yourself, and the more you begin to question yourself, the more you begin to doubt yourself, and that's, I think, how we slip further and deeper into being the abuser's web, right?
Susceptible to that type of abuse. Those are key signs. And as well as, some abusers will try to play rough. It's like they're getting you ready for, they're prepping you, and they'll yoke you, or I've seen men get physical but try to, I was just playing. No, none of that stuff.
Just trying to test it out.
Yeah. Test the waters.
Yeah, I think they both touched on the both tremendous points, and I think that ultimately, a movie like this is an opportunity to have a conversation, and it touches on multiple topics: mental health, domestic abuse, the importance of people to speak up in your life. But to Malinda's point, you can't rely on anybody else to speak up for you. You have to speak up for yourself. And most of the time when we search for the answers when we take the time to be still, we find them within. So I think one of the things, just in part to being a part of this movie, was just recognizing that, there's actually people and professionals and resources available for people to remove the weights that they carry. Because I think sometimes we move forward with the diligence of human beings because that's who we are. But not recognizing there's just some stuff that we're not supposed to meant to carry from day to day. And doing inventory of that, to Malinda's point as well, will bring you back to a place where you can know if something's coming that's not a part of that or not. And I'll just say, my grandmother used to say, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's it doesn't really matter the mistakes you've made before, or whatever the case, but what is today? What does it feel like in this exact second? What is it, if it feels weird, leave everything you have and leave. If that's what it takes.
Trust it.
Yeah.
Has it ever been a time where you cut someone off, maybe an ex or friendship or anything like that you went back to it and regretted it?
I think the biggest thing, the point that, in terms of going back, regret, is the psychology of knowing when to leave, and I think that goes back to the list of topics the movie covers as it relates to recognizing the point you have in your life to make decisions, to change the course of your life, because you actually have them. They're there, and And I think that this situation, which is why people are, crime dramas and stuff are so popular, is that it really amplifies the conditions to which making those decisions are really, really hard.
Yeah, and the thing about this film is at some point, Monica does know that it is time to get out.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, it was too late.
Well, statistically, right? Statistically, a victim will go back to his or her abuser anywhere from 5 to 10 times before they actually leave, right? And to me, that says that, they've gotten themselves, and not that it is their fault, but they've gotten themselves so deeply intertwined in this person's sort of game, if you will, for lack of a better phrase, because clearly it's anything but a game. But they've gotten themselves so deep. I keep saying they've gotten themselves, and that's not the...
It's almost like they've been drawn in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But from their perspective, but from the outside looking in, it looks as if they've gone.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That speaks to the mentality of continuing to go back, because it's like, what have I gotten myself into? How can I get myself? And you're constantly in this cycle of self-blame. And that is part of the abuser's intent, is to make you feel like everything is your fault.
And to that point, though, and that piggyback that is, the sister emotion to that is almost like, I don't want to tell anyone because I don't want to be stupid.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I don't want you to think less of me, or that I'm whatever the idea that you put on yourself that's preventing you from getting the help or the progress or whatever. And listen, this is two sides. Like there's emotional abuse, there's verbal abuse, there's mental abuse, there's physical abuse, and all of them carry things. Yeah.
The thing I hope that people take away from this. So Sunday, July 21st at 8 p.m. This comes on TV. And I have to say that because I really need people to be there, right? Because there could be something, at any point, there are nuances to every one of these characters that we play that you might recognize as something I could be going through, something my sister could be going through, something my brother is experiencing. And, again, it's like these things sometimes are textbook. The cycles and the red flags, they show up almost always in the same way.
There's nothing new about it.
No.
There's nothing new.
No.
And my thing for brothers, and especially for men, is there's a moment in this movie where Jackson says there's a moment where he's extremely transparent about where he is in life, and I think for men, what that moment was to me in the movie, especially in the context of shooting the scene, it was like, okay, this is what. But in the context of the story, when I saw it, I was like, oh man. You know what I mean? Like, this is somebody that, who knows how exactly he got here, but the point is that there's men, old, young, whatever, at a point where they can look back and realize maybe there's some stuff that I'm carrying that I shouldn't, and I can seek a professional about that, because that stuff manifests in so many different ways,
We place a lot of emphasis on success, right?
Yeah.
On our success. And success manifests itself for us, all of us, in different ways. So when we're attempting to leave an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship, a lot of times we make it difficult. We, being society, makes it difficult on the person attempting, because we label it as a failed relationship and no one wants to be seen as a failure. But anything that you do, including relationships that you find yourself successful at some point along the way, you failed at something similar.
Yeah.
Failed, I have to put it in quotes, because I've been in a number of previously failed relationships, but I'm currently in the best relationship of my life. And so, thank God, I failed at everything else.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't have gotten to this place.
Yeah, which is why I could never see it as failure.
Right.
It's a learning experience.
Yes,
And each journey with a specific person is to get you through, to open, expand. I mean, the whole reason for relationship is to grow.
Yeah.
And I think that's the pivotal point when it comes to an abusive relationship, is you have one person that's ready to grow and the other pretty much stopping, impeding growth because of past luggage and
right.
baggage.
That is.
And some come with their baggage specifically for that person, and that is what Jackson did.
Yeah.
Like, specifically because he wanted to give it all to Monica, and in hopes of her being his everything. But no one could solve his problems
That's real.
but him.
Yeah.
And Monica, who Malinda brilliantly plays, still has the power, despite all the stuff we're talking about, to look inside and be like, I'm good, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, that's in itself empowering. But it's you know.
You know what I will say, I'm sorry.
No.
What I will say is, when you talked about, you know, both of you touched on it, talking about a relationship that's going awry and my man is doing whatever to me, you know, people don't want to say that.
Right.
But the moment that someone does, you must take it seriously, because that is a cry for help. As soon as someone is talking about being in a relationship where they are being, you know, abused or belittled or devaluated or whatever it is, at that point, you need to be able to give them some type of help, point them into some type of direction, because if they're coming to you today, it took a whole lot of however long to
That's
get them
right.
to that point to even want to talk about it.
And the
Yeah.
bravery to be able to be like, listen, this is exactly what my life is like every day.
And that's what happened with Monica. She finally decided to talk to her sister. Her Melinda's character finally decided to talk to her sister about what was happening. And you know, when we all in real life, when we have issues that we're going through, we know who to go to. That's gonna really rile us up.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's some friends, like, if I'm having an issue with my man, I ain't gonna go talk to her, because she'll be like, leave that, he shouldn't be doing that. You know, so you have to be careful who it is that you talk to. But you do want to talk to someone who's honest and who's going to say to you, enough is enough, or why don't you go to counseling, or being able to suggest something that could be, you know, positive for you as an individual, but also as a couple. You know, I just think that this movie will prompt people to see themselves or someone that they know and possibly be able to help. Yeah.
And also, you know, there are some really sort of bright spots in the movie, right? There's Tobias Truvillion plays Monica's fiance, her new fiance, and this new relationship that she's found. And I think what has happened is he's loving her in the way that she deserves to be loved. He's loving her in a way she's never been loved before. So in a lot of ways, he's, you know, putting a spotlight on, like, you don't deserve that. That's not actually love. This is love.
Right.
So that's a thing I think people will also be able to take away. Sometimes we don't know we're not being loved the right way until we find out that we could be loved better.
Something I just thought about was, there's something really profound about the way Monica moves on from Jackson, but doesn't view this new situation through the lens she just came from, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So she steps into this new, she doesn't bring Jackson into her new relationship.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't. And that in itself is, like you said, it takes a long time to.
He forces himself.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
Himself,
But
yeah.
but to me, it's more about her, about Monica's choices. I'm making choices to empower myself. You understand? And I'm not going to let the things that perhaps disempower me affect what's in front of me. And I think that's pretty powerful.
That's great.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.